Hello knife people. I've got this bag full of my favorite knives here, mostly bushcraft type knives, large, medium size and even smaller choppers, slicers, etc. And today I basically want to touch on two capabilities of knives: chopping and slicing, feather stick making, etc. So I also have a couple of my favorite saws. This one has been through all kinds of hell and it is still working just fine. Has never broken on me. I've cut plastic piping with this. I've done obviously wood, etc. But this is a Corona saw, which does have a differentially hardened tips here, the blade part, and I have to say this does hold up greatly. I've had it for about 3 years. Again, hard use. This is not supposed to be cutting plastic piping. I've done it and still works. Now this saw is a silky saw. Many of you probably know this. People that work on trees pruning, professional pruners, will use this saw. It is significantly higher tech. It has these rollers to protect the sheath. I actually still have that plastic blade protector on it. So I'll use these two saws also to cut down some branches for us to baton and work the knives with. Now let me lay out. This is the Park River Bravo 3. This is my largest and so far most expensive knife, but more of a short sword rather than a knife. The knife itself is an intimidating mean 3V. This is all 3V, but I have to say the sheath on it sucks. The only thing, well, it is a leather sheath. That's a matter of preference. Maybe a Kydex would even be better, but because this is 3V, you know, the rust issue with a natural leather sheath is not a thing here. It's a stainless steel, but the design of this sheath is just, it sucks. One major flaw is this flap thing, and this repeats on a variety of knives. The only good thing they've done is you are able to kind of tuck this behind. So they've done this divot here and you can tuck it in, but still, you know, this is not a good design. Anyway, we're not here to talk sheaths. This is another Park River knife, STS7 I believe is the code. The sheath is mine, the handle is mine, because both sucked, so I modified it. Now this is a crazy chopper. It is 154 cm stainless steel and a brute of a knife. So far as I know, this is the largest knife made out of that stainless steel. Now you can see I've put on a huge handle with what's called a Coke shape, Coke bottle shape, and now the handling of the knife has drastically improved on the factory setup. This is a cold steel, again my sheath, my handle. Warcraft Tanto in 3V. They don't make this anymore, unfortunately, and I have not tested this on batoning or on feather stick making. I'm interested. Let's see what that does. Ambush Alpha. This is made by Park River, but for DLT Trading, which had a daughter company, this Ambush Alpha. Again, I've added a locker here. I did not do these grooves. These grooves were in place, but the way the belt carry was different, so basically I changed that. So Ambush Alpha, this is a bushcraft slash survival knife, 3V steel. Jaakaripuukko, Varusteleka Jaakaripuukko. In stainless steel, they also make it in the 80 CRV something, yeah, the carbon steel. But I wanted a stainless steel for this case. They do make it in actually 3 sizes. This is the largest one. I believe this is 140. I added this tiny notch actually myself because I do like this for sharpening purposes. Otherwise you may be hitting this area here and just doesn't look good. Very nice leather sheath, simple dangler system, and a plastic insert inside. Very simple, thought out. This locks the blade in, won't come out. Now this is a Hogue EX-F01, the 7-inch. This is all factory right now. I have a separate video. I will put a link to the video here where I review this knife. I call it a beast of a knife with identity crisis. We'll get into that, but basically before I do major modifications on this knife, which is a $270 knife at current prices, I do want to test it out and see how bad the handle is. Basically, I love everything about the knife from here on. The blade is just perfect, very unique, very interesting, and a very capable blade. This part, this I believe is gimmicky and impractical, so I'll test it out. Very famous Top's brother of bushcraft field knife. This is the very first original. There has been some reiterations of this in a stainless steel, I believe the same stainless as used on this Bark River 154 cm, if I'm not mistaken. But my version is the 1095 high carbon steel. I love the sheath on this because of how detailed and well done the kydex is. It has this metal clip that rotates, friction fit. There's a rubber, thick rubber o-ring in there, and it retains the shape that you hold it. So you can carry the knife like this, which would suck because this would dig into your ribs, or you can carry it scout carry or horizontal carry, so called. Comes with the original fire starter, which has these 2 magnesium rods and a ferrocium rod. The ones they make now are just one large ferrocerium rod. This I actually do prefer this version because I think it gives you more ability to start a fire in wet conditions, etc., because of the magnesium and the high temperature that it burns at. I have messed with the blade trying to make it a true Scandi because it had a secondary grind, and I tried to take that secondary grind away, but I believe that in the eventuality I will take away this finger guard, probably grind this down, which is a very common modification to this knife. This is a complete gimmick. Nobody uses this successfully as far as I know. And plus these guys missed out on a 90-degree spine, so there's a lot of flaws in this knife. Potentially a beast, thick, a competitor to the SE5 or the BK2, but yeah, there's still a bit of improvements to be done to the knife. Now these two are Kizlyar Supreme, which is a Russian-made knife. It is done in PGK steel. It is a cold rolled steel. I'm quite happy with what I've done with the steel so far. I've tested it. We have 2 different grinds on here. This is factory. I have only given this a convex edge, So it has a saber grind ending with a convex edge done on a Canonian knife sharpener, whereas the other one is fully modified other than the blade. It is this handle I did myself and the sheath. Now this has a saber grind and the crazy sharp mirror polished. I did this edge with the Tor version 3 knife sharpener, which I believe for the price that you can find it on Alibaba is the best, by far the best knife sharpener for tiny and huge knives. With that sharpener I can sharpen these sizes without issues. Any size, almost a sword you can sharpen with it. And some other knives. This is the well-known and overhyped Mora Garberg, which I don't like for many reasons, but is considered to be one of the essential bushcraft knives. I have given it a true Scandi grind, but because of the shape, because of this belly, you can't really sharpen it. So if you will see here, it has a significantly shallower angle, and then it goes out and meets the original kind of edge. I don't mind that, because the hard cutting that we do with this area, where I will, because it's a convex grind, it is supposedly softer or weaker in edge retention compared to a convex grind. So I'm okay with this being shallower in this area. Again, we'll test it. And this is in carbon steel. It's not the stainless version. Got it with a leather sheath. Next one we have is an Enzo Trapper in D2. This knife is, it just shows what the European knife makers can do. It is a simple perfection in terms of proportions. There are no mistakes. One side is absolutely identical to the other. On the grind, on the shape, on the handle, you will find zero flaws. It's an Enzo. On the quite nice leather sheath. This is a KaBar knife, BK16, modified handle. I added thick 1mm liners to beef up the handle and put a Kydex sheath on it. I stripped off the entire paint. Also, this has a friction fit. I did it myself. Also friction fit, so you can wear it horizontally or vertically. And vertically, it's not that high, the handle, and should not dig into your ribs unless you do extreme gymnastics out in the woods. I put an irregular patina on it, as you can see, and I quite like the knife in this visual. Also added some glow in the dark points here. And I believe I've also convexed the edge on the Canonian. So this now has a full flat grind ending in a convex edge. This is the Esee Izula 2, which I have sharpened to razor sharp, but for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's the heat treat on the blade, but it loses sharpness surprisingly easily. The edge retention is quite bad on this, but we'll test it out. Now we come to three. These three are relatively new purchases, and all three are Russian made knives, but they are crazy good. All of them are really good. So these two factory haven't touched it. I only touched up the blades, the edges on a leather strop, so I have not changed anything on them, just cleaned up the blades. They came sharp, paper cutting sharp, even shaving sharp, but not very. They have crazy good construction, extremely good knives. This one is CPR steel. This very well notched, laser notched handle. This is their bushcraft model, and it's just pure perfection on the execution of the blade as well as the handle. Nothing to change on this knife. Beautiful. The best leather sheaths that I have the Bark River, I have an Enzo, and then this Russian made knife that has by far the best. Also plastic inserts, even drainage holes, which neither the Enzo or the Bark River have. These guys have it. Also on a dangler sheath, you can carry it straight on the belt or with the dangler. They went as far as even making this area narrower so that the round metal ring does not rub against it, etc. Same done on this sheath, same type of leather sheath, just with without the fire steel holder. Work knife, very good handle, short blade, good for skinning, good for putting force on it and doing hard tasks. I'm being eaten up by mosquitoes here. This is called an all knife. It is super steel. So we have Magnacut, CPM Magnacut. The model of the knife is called North F. G10 handle, fully enclosed tang that comes down to approximately here, and there is no touching on the metal, so you can actually cut, you know, electrical wire with it, but it's not for that's not the purpose of the knife. It's a Finnish style knife, but the unique part on this, as well as both of the other these two Russian made knives, are that the convex grind is full convex, starting from all the way from the spine. It does have a 90-degree spine and a very, very thin tip. So this is not a hard use knife. Should be careful if you're batoning with it, or you don't want to be prying anything with the tip, but it is a crazy, crazy cutter. Actually an extreme cutter. So we'll test that as well. I brought some of my own kindling over there, but I also want to baton some, so I'll cut this down. Somebody already cut this tree. They have prepared it for firewood. This is a dead tree, so that's okay to cut, but I don't think this was dead. But anyway, it's cut already, so I will use this. So let's start with this one, see how that cuts. So as I said, now this Bark River knife is very wieldy, has a very reliable, nice grip on the handle. So let's test out. Obviously the silky one is longer by about 10 centimeters, 4 inches, and this one has been used many times, so it's just interesting how they cut. But I know I've tested this, it cuts amazingly well. So the way these teeth are shaped, whether they're close or wide, the intervals determines what they're for dried wood, for wet wood. It does not do too good, it kind of binds up, because this is a live tree, and so it kind of you feel that it is sawing through, but not that well. So let's see what the silky does. Now this is specifically for wet wood because it's for pruning. So pruning you do on live trees. Let's see how it does. You see huge difference between this and the Corona saw. It's binding up. What's going on here? This is what's going on. It just needs to be bent. Now I will cut this up in a few pieces so we can baton them. But just look at how fast. This is not a softwood. And again, these mosquitoes are taking chunks of my flesh. Anyway. Done. Very capable saw. Very. Now, if this breaks or wears out, I mean, this is the more expensive part on the saw, but it's with these screws which you can unscrew and slide a new one in. This I bought on sale for 80 bucks. Usually it was about $120 range, and I purchased it maybe more than 5 years ago actually, so I don't know the current prices. Even though I said batoning and feather stick making, but out of these larger knives, let's just have a quick look on how they chop. So River STS7, crazy chopper. Now this is wet hard wood. Also why I want to do this is to see the edge retention, so I'm intentionally going to chop with these large knives and then try to baton and only after do feather sticks, and that will show us what type of edge retention they have. So as you can see, very good chopper. Let's look at the cold steel Warcraft Tanto in 3V. Now it does not have as much front weight, but cuts very well. It does have a decent sized saber grind, and my own, I actually did resharpen the knife and gave it more of a thinner grind angle. This is 3V steel, so I am expecting decent edge retention. Decent chopper for the size and for the weight. When you need to chop, you can. Now this is the Hogue EX-F01 A2 tool steel. Let's see. Alan Elishewicz None of the previous knives hurt me. This one hurt my pinky on here. This is very uncomfortable and I don't like the grip. It's just not comfortable. It is secure in terms of it doesn't feel like it will slide out, but come on man, all these sharp corners. It is a good chopper for the size and weight. Let's bring out the beast. Bark River Bravo 3V steel. Let's do here. Damn man. As I said, this is like a katana. Check that out. Okay, this deserves a whole chop down. It is so good. Everybody knows Bark River handles are awesome. Rounded off, very well contoured, Coke shape, Coke bottle shape, handle, very nice. No discomfort whatsoever when just holding it here. So let's see how long it'll take us to chop this tree down. And it is just taking huge chunks out. Done. This is a crazy chopper. So it was shaving sharp. Let's see if it still is. Yeah, it is shaving right there. Okay, let's do some batoning now. So now let's do some batoning with relatively larger knives, obviously, but as you see, this is very hard wood, also wet, so live tree, and plenty of knots. Let's start with a larger knife. Absolutely no problem. So I will leave the halves for smaller knives. We can baton them with the smaller knives, and still we have knots, so there is testing difficulty in them. Let's do the other Bark River, modified by me. I actually don't have a good baton. So a knot here. Well, let's then do this. This should also baton it easily because of the thickness. But as you can see, it's trying to go through this knot. So, not an easy piece of wood to baton. It's almost getting stuck. If you haven't noticed yet, I use both hands equally, so I will be switching frequently between hands. That knot is giving it a hard time, but it's already split. There is no way. Well, looky here. You see that bend? The knife bent. So this is a very, very hard piece of wood. It bent this 1/4 inch steel. Crazy. There is a bend in the knife. Almost through. Done. Look at the knurling on this. So this is the part that bent this knife. That was very, very unexpected and strange to see. It went back to true, fortunately, but it did bend going through. Okay, so that also did it. The Hogue, where is the Hogue? Now let's do this. I used it as a baton. I need a baton also. Will this be a good baton? Okay, let's try. Now this is A2 tool steel, not here, not here, so it's not an easy piece of wood to baton. There you go. Did it easily. Now the issue, man, these mosquitoes just cling onto your flesh, won't let go. Again, painful. Why? Narrow. This is not a survival woods type of knife, you know. No, sorry. The handle sucks. This marvelous handle sucks. This is very narrow, hurts. This, you saw how much batoning I did with it. I didn't even feel anything. Look at how wide the point where you push pressure on is. Same, wide. So, unfortunately, this was done, I don't know, maybe 10 years, 12 years ago. They're still making the same handle. You need to learn and listen to some feedback if you want to keep selling this knife. And the price even went up. So it was around 200, 220, now it's 270 bucks. This cost almost the same as this knife, and it just does not compare. So a beautiful blade, the handle sucks. So let's do one more large piece. Man, this knife has a rubberized handle. This width is good, should be comfortable to baton with. What does not serve a good batoning function is that this is rather thin. So interesting to see what happens. Handle very comfortable, and there we go. You see that? So a handle makes a huge difference on how a knife performs in hard tasks. Where is the sheath? And the last relatively large knife that we can baton with is this Varusteleka Jaakaripuukko. My wife gets a kick out of this name. As we can see, the blade is sufficient, but I don't have a large baton anymore. Very comfortable rubberized handle, went through no problems. You see, much smaller knife, basic geometry, the handle is what makes the difference. Okay, so now we can start splitting this wood with smaller knives. Let's do the Enzo. Well, I forgot that one, but let me lay this out so I know which knives we'll be doing. BK16 can also do that. Obviously the Mora, this we've already done a whole piece with, so no need. And then this bushcraft, Russian made bushcraft knife. Maybe look at the number of mosquitoes, and they come all together, these suckers. Man. Okay. Let's start with the larger one. Ambush Alpha, made by Bark River for DLT trading. Easy. Enzo, let's do this knotted piece. No problem. Let's do the Russian made bushcraft knife, knotted wood. Now, even though this is not a rubberized handle, it is very comfortable because of the shape and contouring that it has. No problem, right through the knot. BK16 knot. This is 1095 basic carbon steel. No problem. Widened handle, very nice grip. No problem. We did the Enzo, we did the we haven't done the small one. We haven't done the Mora Garberg either. So let's do the Garberg now. Well, actually, let's give it a harder piece, this one. No problem, quite comfortable handle, went through. Okay, so now we will be switching places because we are bombarded by mosquitoes here in the woods. I will take these pieces with me and what is left, like the hard use we already did. We saw how they chop, how they baton, and what's left is to see how the blade geometries and the grind geometries act on making feather sticks. But we need to evacuate from this area, so we'll be back. So let me now show you what kind of sacrifices I go through for YouTube. Look, this is all mosquitoes. When I looked down, there was about 12 of them simultaneously on my leg, and about 20 in 1 square foot just flying around waiting for their turn to suck on my blood. Now, you may think that this is because I'm wearing shorts and my legs were obviously exposed, but no. They bite through thick, these are huge helicopter type mosquitoes, and they bite through socks, they bite through jeans material, through a t-shirt, so I'm bit all over the place. Okay, so I apologize for the chainsaw noise in the background, but we have to push through, so let me lay out the knives again. And now we will do feather sticks. I will start with the large knives and get them out of the way, and then do smaller ones. And just for the hell of it, I also brought a couple of folders. I do not have many folders. I don't really like folders, but just to have a contrast, this is by TwoSun D2 blade and titanium handle, so it's a nice, good looking knife. The other folder is a line steel Italian made, very unique knife, unique design, full aluminum handle that has been milled out. A very good blade, also D2, but this is Sleipner D2, German D2 steel. So it is supposed to be a bit better than just your regular D2. And also your very basic, it won't even flip open. Your basic, this is not Victorinox, it is a Wenger, but basically the same as Victorinox, same inox stainless steel. Okay, let's start with the larger knives. I apologize for the mosquito bites. I expect to be bleeding by the evening time. So, a huge blade, 3V steel. I have to say I had to round off this finger groove, the finger notch. It was horrible. It was 90 degrees, so every time you held it, it was just cutting through your skin. So I sanded down these both sides. Now you can choke up. This, I believe, is a gimmick, and I do not like this jimping. I may take it off sometime, do a little modification on the knife, but that would be the only thing that I change on it. Let's see if this beast can feather stick. Oh yeah. Now this has a convex, it is not a flat grind. It has a convex, but does have a micro bevel as well. So, but as you can see, it is slicing nice. Now I'm not an expert feather sticker. I have not spent any significant time on making feather sticks. That's another gimmick, I believe, because unless you're in very wet woods, you can always find dried grass, dried leaves, fat wood, all kinds of things where you don't really have to do this. You just crunch up some dried grass. But yeah, this can feather stick, as you can see. Now of course it's nicer when you have all those curls here, but if they fall off, this is still your kindling fire starting wood, so don't worry about that if it happens. But again, as you can see, it is making very thin slices, quite nice, but it is a heavy knife, not very comfortable to be doing feather sticks with it, but it can do it in a pinch. This is not what you would be using to feather stick, but if it's the only knife that you have, yes, it can do it. See why I'm saying the leather sheath sucks. By the way, as far as I know, Bark River does not make the sheaths, they outsource this. It is leather, it is full grain leather, but just the design of it is not the best, especially this part. So this is the best chopper that I have, probably also the best batoning knife in a can feather stick. Second large knife, again a Bark River STS7 in 154 cm stainless steel. Can it feather stick? Yes, it can. I can already tell. There you go. This knife can feather stick. There you go. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time, but this is way more comfortable than the factory Bravo 3, because first of all it is smaller, and sorry Bark River, but this handle is more comfortable than your infamous handle. So, and we will later touch on, you see how close the cutting edge is to my finger hold? This is perfect. And I will show you on a couple of knives where it's not done this way, and that sucks. It's a missed opportunity. But yes, this can feather stick beautifully. It serves as a, you know, your large knife in the woods beautifully. Next large knife would be the Hogue EX-01, and now I have to feather stick all the way out here. I have to do the cut all the way out here where this area would be more comfortable, which is one of the reasons why I will be modding this knife. Yes, you can choke up. Yeah, you can do that. But is that comfortable? No, not at all. So you want a good grip on your knife when you're pushing pressure and doing controlled cuts. So let's do feather sticks like this. The blade is doing just fine, but it is not comfortable because of where the cutting edge is in relation to my hold. So let's choke up. When you choke up, your finger gets here and it is exposed to all kinds of wood particles that can slice through or pinch through, and so you know, you don't want to be doing it like that. If you choke up like this, yes, this knife feather sticks beautifully, you see? Very nice curls. This is why I'm saying that it is a potentially beast knife. But to utilize this blade to its maximum, I will need to modify the handle. So that video will be coming soon. If you're interested, stay tuned and please subscribe to the channel. Next, okay, this is a very interesting comparison because both of these knives are exactly the same blade shape. The only difference on them is the grind. So this is a convex done on a Ken onion knife sharpener with the, you know, the larger blade sharpening attachment, and this one is done on a Tor version 3 sharpener, and it is a saber grind, not a convex, you know, your I don't know what you call those grinds, but this is usually referred to as a saber grind. So let's see which of them perform better. Which of these perform better? Man, Consistent, very consistent, and paper thin, very thin curls. Nice. Beautiful feather sticker. Beautiful feather sticker. Let's do the convex. So the thing with the convex is this is also a very, very good feather sticker, but the thing is consistency. So this shape is rounded off. When you touch the cutting edge, it cuts perfectly, but it is a bit harder to control because the rest is rounded, whereas on the flat grind, when you catch the edge, the cutting edge, it's much easier to keep the consistency. So in terms of feather sticking, I would choose this one, but edge retention would be better on the convex grind. Let's see the tip. The tip is crazy sharp. Yeah. The tip can also do nice curls, as you can see. Beautiful. Quite happy, no changes needed. Let's do the Ambush Alpha saber grind 3V steel. I have not touched the blade other than stropping it on the leather strop. Yep, very good feather sticking, as you can see. Yeah, quite happy with that. This can also do it. Now, again, the infamous Brothers of Bushcraft by Tops. Let's see how this operates. Again, very nice. Very thin curls. Yeah, I can see. There is a lot of flaws in the knife. This area for such a brute of a knife actually needs to be thicker than the middle or especially the lower part. And as you can see, it is the widest in this area rather than on the front. You need a good grip. If you want to put force on it, you need some girth, some thickness around here so you can, lateral movement, side by side control. So instead this narrows and it is uncomfortable. Design choices, man. And as I understand, there was a lot of, a large number of bushcraft oriented survival skills, with knowledge of survival skills, people that built this. There's several designers came together to put this knife, to design this knife, and then Tops executed it. And I'm sorry guys, but there is so many gimmicks on it, so many flaws. This is a gimmick, a full gimmick. You want to see a good finger groove? Here is a good finger groove. This is a good one because it fits. It is teardrop shaped. It fits your thumb well, even your index finger. This is a good finger groove. This one is sharp on the edges, not wide enough, and yeah, this groove gimmicky. This should not be narrow, it should actually be wider. Friction fire, really? Come on, you're gonna be doing friction fire in the woods? This notch, complete gimmick. Just do a 90-degree here, do a 90-degree here. If you want to be safety oriented, just do the 90-degree here. You can sheath it and then scrape like that. What the hell? Who came up with that? But the knife feather sticks quite well. So let's continue. Varusteleka Jaakaripuukko in stainless steel. Now, because it has Scandi characteristics, not surprising that it is a good feather sticker. It does nice curls. Also easy to control once you catch the cutting edge because of that Scandi grind. And yes, it does have a secondary bevel, and that is just to give it more edge retention basically. Yes, it feather sticks quite well. KaBar BK16 1095 carbon steel. I took off the coating on it. Yeah, it feather sticks. Not one of the best, but it does a quite good job. No complaints. A bit easier to keep the cutting edge in action, but you could get used to it. And the handle, even though again it narrows here, but because of how wide it is and because you can actually hold it up here on the wider point, it's not a bad controlled cut. Cold steel Warcraft Tanto 3V steel. Saber grind, modified bevel. Very, very thin, very nice curls that it's making. Quite happy with how that works. There we go. Very good knife, very strong tip, and basically there is a lot of unique traits to the Tanto shape, but I would not hesitate to take this into the woods as a, you know, your main blade. Kick-ass knife. Let's see what the Garberg can do in carbon steel. This now is a true Scandi, does not have a secondary bevel, it is a true Scandi grind. So it should perform beautifully, let's see. Oh yeah. Very nice feather sticker also. And it just wants to dig in, and you have to kind of hold it back from going too deep. But very nice feather sticker. Let's do the Enzo Trapper 125 in D2 steel, and 125 refers to the millimeters length in millimeters, the length of the blade. Again, a very nice Scandi grind with a tiny micro bevel, but it is a barely noticeable micro bevel. I don't like the handle. The handle is too thin for woods working, for exerting significant pressure on the knife. But what can we do? Life's not perfect. Oh man, this cuts very deep into. Yeah. So once you catch the correct point, it feather sticks, but it actually does a bit thicker curls. And again, this is because of that Scandi grind that just wants to bite into the wood. No, I was actually mistaken. If you catch it at the right point, it does thin enough curls. So I would call this decent. Not as good as the other ones. Now, the Russian-made bushcraft model, CPR steel. Now this is a convex ground blade starting from all the way to this, from the spine to the blade, and it has a absolute tiniest micro bevel. I expect that micro bevel to also be a convex, but it is not a perfect, you know, it requires some modification. I mean, it does curls, but it either, what it's doing is it's either just sliding without catching onto the wood, and if I tilt it a bit, trying to get some curls off, what it does is it bites into the wood. Let's give it another try. Yeah, I mean, it does feather stick, but as I said, on a convex grind, it is a bit more difficult to do feather sticks, and I will be regrinding this, giving it a more of a pronounced micro convex edge. So this potentially is a very good feather sticker, not right now, requires some modification. Same brand, different blade shape, N690 German stainless steel. This geometry is better than the previous model, as this does feathers quite well. I will still be regrinding this into a micro bevel convex, because the knife is convex, so you don't want to be doing flat bevels on this. But yeah, this works better. But the other reason maybe why this operates better is because maybe, I'm not sure, but it is a smaller blade, easier to control, handle may even be better than the bushcraft model in this grip, in the hammer grip. But again, not perfection by my standards for the edge, so I will be regrinding that. Now both of these knives are factory. I only stropped it on leather, so the geometry I did not change, and for my needs I will be changing it. Now this knife, I had to modify the sheath because what came with the knife rattled, and it was just, you know, too thin of the Kydex sheet, and it was rattling. Now I've added a lock on it, very basic, very simple. I like making sheaths like that rather than adding a bunch of holes, for example, like this, you know. These areas here, sure, for tying through ropes and Velcro or something, but what do you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes for? And also I like envelope type of sheaths because it saves significant space. All of this not really necessary. Okay, so let's see how this feather sticks. This is a crazy cutter, really good cutter. CPM Magnacut, cryogenically heat treated. Perfection of a convex grind. This is a crazy good knife. But I don't like the handle, very thin. So when I hold it, trying to do some controlled cuts, I have a lot of space in here. The designer, I saw him, you know, testing out his knife, cutting through hours. He did hours of cutting with a similar model, but he usually wears a glove. And if you know much about knives, when you're out in the woods or whatever, doing whatever, usually you will not be wearing gloves. A knife that requires you to put gloves on is not your best knife. So, I mean, as I said, this is a crazy cutter. So instead of doing thin curls and stuff, it just wants to cut through the entire wood piece. But it also does nice curls, if you know what you're doing, which I'm not a specialist. Again, I repeat, I am not good at doing feather sticks, but You see, it can cut very, very thin. If you catch the correct edge point, it can cut thin. You see there, right there, very thin, thinner than paper actually. I love this knife. I do not like the handle. Now, to be fair, this is not a bushcraft, well, bushcraft sure, but it's not a hard use knife. The handle is not made for it. The thickness of the spine, look at how acute, how fine the tip is. So this is a slicer, and the manufacturer actually, most of their knives I believe are kitchen knives. They make really good high-end kitchen knives. And so every time he's interviewed, the owner and the manufacturer of these knives, which is the same guy actually, he is still behind the grinding wheels doing some of the knives. So respect for that. This is his designs. The handle is his design. Obviously there's a lot of elements taken from your traditional Scandi knives, but the execution, his 3D G10 handle, there is just a lot of work put into the handle and the knife overall. So this knife costs about $250. It is a very expensive knife, Russian made. Same price as relatively as the cold steel Warcraft Tanto in 3V steel. Same price as the Hogue EX-F01, this huge knife. But this is A2 tool steel and this is CPM Magnacut, as you know. That's what brings up the price. Now if this knife was purchased in, say, I don't know, CPR steel, they make quite a variety of different steels in the same models. And the fact that this is CPM Magnacut cryogenically heat treated, it adds about $100 to the knife. This is the only knife that I have in this steel. So far I'm very happy with it. Now this will be a good knife for working on meat, on fish, and you can have sweaty hands, wet hands, bloody hands, doesn't matter. There is no sliding around on the knife. It came actually with instructions, a paper of instructions that said that this is not a safe knife because the finger protector is removed. There is no finger protection here. But again, as I said, you have to be really stupid to cut your hand by sliding. I mean, you can make a mistake and obviously have a cut, but I don't, you know, if you know how to use a knife, there's contouring, all kinds of 3D contouring on the handle. It's extremely difficult to have it slide up and cut your hand. Beautiful knife. Let's do the Esee Izula 2, which is, you know, it should be one of the best feather stickers because it's tiny, easy to control, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Yeah. I don't know, man. Now I've put a... What edge did I put on here? It looks like a no, it is a convex. So I did this on the Canonian knife sharpener as well. And I think I need to bring it back to a flat grind because it's very difficult to catch the cutting edge on this. Once you do, it does feathers, but yeah, not too good. This sucks, needs rework. I have to take away the roundness of the convex on this and just do a flat grind. But as I said, so when I sharpened it, I obviously tested, does it shave? And it shaved. it still kind of does, but not as good. So I brought it, you know, stropped it and everything. Then I sheathed it and put it in my bag. The next time I took it out after, I don't know, a couple of months, trying to see how sharp it was dull. I don't know what the issue is with this. So I've done all the fixed blades. Just for the heck of it, let's do the folders. Man, oh, beautiful. This does very nice feathers. So it just did that very thin. This is better than almost all of the ones, including the convex grinds. I haven't done anything to this knife. This is like 100% factory. Now, TwoSun is a Chinese brand, but they're, you know, mid-tier and above. They're a good Chinese knife maker. I bought this knife maybe 5 years ago, more, 8 years ago, and I'm blown away by how good it cuts. It makes the thinnest out of all of the knives that I've done so far. This is the best feather sticker. I'm shocked. Let's now do the Lion Steel Sleipner D2. Now, don't let me down, man. That Chinese knife just amazed me, so don't let me down. Yeah, it does quite well. Now, it has a flat grind here and then a convex edge. So, unique decisions by the knife maker. And I find that a flat ground edge, for me at least, is easier for feather sticking. This has a convex edge. So you come up with that issue of you kind of have to catch the cutting edge and maintain it. And that, I guess, takes a bit of training, which I don't have, because I don't start my fires with feather sticks. I'm sorry. I live in the real world. Oh, man. Crazy thin. No, it is a good feather sticker, I have to say. It is a good... Oh, man. Very thin. Okay. Respect to my folders, I guess. Wenger. Let's see how this does. I actually expect it to do quite well. Now, this is softwood. It may even be pine. I don't know. Yeah, it does quite well. For what the knife is, for what it costs, for what the blade is. Yeah, it is a decent, I would say, feather sticker, but does not compare to the Lion Steel or the TwoSun blades. But yes, if you only have this, yes, you can do feather sticks, no problem. There we go. So, just for the ending, let's do the overhyped fire steel knife, starting a fire with fire steel is what I'm trying to say. Let's use this huge fire steel that I have attached to my Bark River Bravo 3. And let's do the Enzo, because that has a crazy spine on it. Where's the Enzo? Here. Now, something that I want to show about the fire steel. I see guys doing, you know, this all the way on the length. You don't need to do that. You don't even need to do this fast. All you have to do is about this much area is sufficient. And again, you don't need to be fast. Now, instead of moving the knife, hitting potentially your kindling and having a mess, what you should do is you should hold the knife above. There we go. And we just started a fire. Okay, so we tested a bunch of knives today. We saw how they chop and how they feather stick mostly. There are some obvious favorites, some weak points, but just very quickly, for those that are subscribed to the channel, first of all, thank you very much. I promise to keep pumping out interesting content, but yeah, for those that are subscribed, the next modifications I will be doing is making this knife a better knife for woods use. I will also be modifying the Brothers of Bushcraft. There will be quite a few modifications to this knife, and I will also be regrinding some very good full convex grinds into better cutters basically. So please stay tuned, and thank you very much again.